Can't believe you set me up with that. What, was the bearded lady busy tonight or something?
It's just one night, a little dinner. She's not that tall.
She's tall enough.
Would you keep it down? She's gonna hear you.
With those big ears, I bet she can.
Hey, Rune?
I just finished season 1, episode 12, Double Dates. And y'all, I forgot about Rune. Oh man, I forgot about him. Oh my goodness. Okay, the big plot in this episode was basically Lorelai and Rory both go out on double dates with their best friend Suki and Lane. First, let's talk the double date version with Suki, Jackson, Lorelai, and Rune. Last episode, Suki asked out Jackson, and it's been a few days since she's done that, and they still haven't gone on the date. So when Jackson and Suki interact at the Independence Inn, it is so awkward because they both don't know what they are, and they haven't like moved forward with their plans to date. So it's just so awkward. Side thing. The thing I really liked about this episode is this is the first time you really get to see the best friend relationship between Suki and Lorelai and Lane and Rory, because we haven't really gotten much time to dive into how they're best friends, how their friendship works. And this episode, I think, actually kind of showed us that. And I really, really like that because I'm all about friendships, just having that bestie. But anyway, so Lorelai helps push Suki to actually move forward with the date and Jackson out with like a specific time and place. So when she is able to reach Jackson, she stumbles a little bit because the time she wants to go out on the date with Jackson, he has his cousin Rune in town. So Suki comes up with the idea like, hey, so I told Jackson that we could go out on this Sunday and that you would double date with Rune. Y'all. Rune, oh my goodness, he is hilarious. Like, he shouldn't be funny because he's like really rude, really selfish, but he's so funny. So Rune's like kind of a shorter guy, and his big issue is the fact that for his double date, his date is Lorelai. And Lorelai is tall, and he's like, Lorelai has big ears. Like, he's just clowning Lorelai. And Lorelai's like, what? I just met you. What is happening? And so just throughout the whole date, they first go out to this French restaurant. And there's a moment where Suki and Lorelai leave to go to the bathroom to like powder their noses, is what Lorelai says as an excuse. And Rune's like, yeah, that'll take a long time. Basically saying Lorelai has a big nose. It's gonna take a while. Like, he's just so rude the whole day. And Lorelai's just stuck with him, so you kind of feel bad for her. But it's funny too, because I'm like, this guy's terrible. But even on the date at the French restaurant, Suki has not said a word to Jackson. So it's just so awkward. Like, Suki is just talking to Lorelai, and she keeps on bringing up all these stories. And like, Lorelai, remember? And so then Suki's just talking to Lorelai. Lorelai keeps on trying to bring Rune into the conversation. So she'll like ask him questions, and he's just really rude and dismissive when she asks him anything. And then Jackson's just like watching Suki, but not saying anything. So the whole date is awkward. Then Lorelai and Suki excuse themselves to like talk. And so Suki's like, it's just so uncomfortable at this French restaurant. I just don't feel like I can be myself. And Lorelai just tells her like, hey, let's just bring it down a notch. Let's go to Luke's where it's casual. You can let your hair down a little bit and restart the date. And Suki's like, yes, let's do that. So they go to Luke's. And Rune is just a whole pain the whole time. Like, he ends up leaving because he's just being rude. He's like, I am not having fun. I agreed to this date because you told me I would have fun on this date. I don't want to be here. I want to go bowling because it's Sunday night. And so then Suki, like, initially when they go to Luke's, it's really awkward. They're just like all sitting in silence. And Lorelai is at the counter with Luke because she doesn't want to go back to that table. And so then Rune does his whole spiel, and Jackson's about to leave to go hang out with Rune. And Suki's like, don't go. And then Jackson, like, you just see his face, like, just brighten up because this date has been going terrible. Like, they haven't been interacting. It's been a terrible date so far. But when Suki tells him not to go, like, you just see his face and he's like, oh. So then he sits back down and he's like, I'm not going to go. And so then it's kind of like him and Suki actually get to have their date, and they start talking. And it's just like you kind of get to watch the two of them falling in love on their first date. And I'm here for it. While Lorelai is hanging out with Luke, they're basically having fun, and they're letting Suki and Jackson do their whole thing. But Lorelai is playing cards with Luke, and Luke is like, he pretty much asks her out, but they get interrupted by Mrs. Kim. But y'all, Luke asked her out, like, oh, like, I'm counting it, because I'm definitely counting it. Like, it was like 2 times she gets asked out, because later towards the end of the episode, Luke and Lorelai bring up, hey, maybe we can get together again and like play cards and stuff. Like, it's not an official ask out, so, but I'm counting it. But yeah, Luke is about to ask Lorelai out, and Miss Kim interrupts. So let's jump to the Lane and Rory stories. So Lane thinks that she's in love with one of Dean's friends, so she asks Rory to ask Dean to ask his friend to go out with Lane on Sunday as a double date. And so it's actually like really high school, really like teenage how the asking happens, because Like, oh, can you tell your friend to tell your friend to tell him to that he likes it? Like, it's kind of like so teenage. So basically they go out on the double date and Lane realizes like this guy is the worst. Like he's really boring. They don't have anything in common. Like she's bored out of her mind. And Rory is just like keeps on looking back at them like, I just want to make sure they're having fun. And he's like, let the two of them do whatever they want. Like, let's focus on us. And so Lane's like miserable this whole day. She's like, oh, and this guy is not, I know nothing about him. And so then the moms come because Miss Kim comes and Lorelai comes because Lane and Rory did not tell Lorelai what they were doing because Lorelai has a mom code where had she found out about it, she would have told Miss Kim. And so Miss Kim doesn't allow Lane to date or be around boys or anything. So Lane had just told her mom that she was hanging out with Lorelai and Rory and that they may go out to go rent a movie or like go out to eat or something. Miss Kim is walking past Luke's and she sees Lorelai there. And then she's like, where are the girls? Like she freaks out because I mean, that's scary. If you think about a parent, you think your kid is somewhere and then you find out they're not and they're like, So the moms show up and they are not happy. Like Miss Kim starts speaking in Korean, takes Lane, goes. Lorelai shows up, she's like, and Rory's like, Mom, like she tries to start something and Lorelai's like, no, later. And then they just kind of exit and then they leave. Lane is on lockdown for most of the rest of the episode, but then Lorelai goes and has a talk with Mrs. Kim and she basically apologizes because she's like, I didn't know, but I want you to know that Lane, when she comes to my house, she's safe. Like I wouldn't let anything happen to her. I would watch over her like she's my own daughter. So they kind of have like a mom talk and you kind of like see them kind of in an agreement, and what Lorelai says to Mrs. Kim kind of resonates with her because she allows Lane to actually go into the front yard because Lane had been quarantined to her room, could not go anywhere. And then following up, Luke was wearing the blue cap, so he is just like feeling this cap that Lorelai gave him a few episodes ago. So we're just gonna follow this cap until he stops wearing it. See you guys soon.
This has been another episode of Real Talk with Noelle.